Commodore fans, are you ready? It's time for another episode of the Vandy 24/7 podcast on the 440 Sports Network. Keep it locked right here for the best Vanderbilt coverage. Whether it's Clark Lee on the gridiron, Mark Byington and Shea Ralph on the hardwood, or Tim Corbin on the diamond, the Vandy 24/7 crew has you covered. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Also, like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's free and easy to do. Follow the crew on Twitter, Apple Podcast, and Spotify for podcast episodes. Lastly, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, email Chris Lee at chrislee70@gmail.com. And now, pull up a chair. It's time for another episode of the Vandy 24/7 podcast.
Welcome into Star V Sundays, the debut episode of a brand new show we got here at Vandy247.com. I'm your host, Billy Derrick, alongside former Vanderbilt kicker Joe Bulovas. And Joe, I can't thank you enough for joining me. Obviously, presenting sponsor for football season, and everybody's fired up for the season to get going. We're fired up that you're a part of our coverage here, and also a part of Star V Sundays. And I did my best with the logo. We'll probably edit the logo there a little bit and get it all dolled up. We got a helmet back here and everything, so we're rocking and rolling. But Joe, what's going on?
Oh man, I'm just excited for the doors to get it rocking and rolling this Saturday. You already punched my tickets. Turns out mom and dad are going to be able to come down for the game. So
there you go.
I got some unexpected visitors coming down. You got to show them a good time, and so I'm sure the doors will handle business. But really excited to see this team come out swinging.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, and I want to get into this with you, starting a season, the opponent, you want to say is nameless and faceless, but
right.
Look, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids, and, it's not always that way. It's not always, as difficult as a Virginia Tech like it was last year. But it's also not as, I say, easy. It's not as, this is a different matchup. Charleston Southern and Virginia Tech, two very different matchups. So I want to get into that with you, that aspect of this game. And even, obviously Clark's first couple years you were here. You guys, of course, opened against Hawaii. And yeah, that was disappointing, in a way. But, every season is different. So we're going to get into that, the way you start seasons, building up from fall camp. Of course, from your perspective, and we'll talk a little bit about fall camp and a little bit of the notes that you developed from the scrimmage, and some of the notes. And
all I know is that when I was taking notes in the stands, I was about to pass out.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Robbie and I were we were dying. We were not in the press box for that first scrimmage.
Yeah, my girlfriend, Miss Lauren, was sitting next to me. I thought we were about to lose her there.
That was hot. Hey, you got to hang out with some cool people though, down there on the sideline. So that's part of being a part of Vanderbilt.
Hey, Theo Vaughn came by and he had his, he was decked out in leggings and he had his cleats rocking and rolling, ready to go. So the Vandy practices and scrims are actually attracting a pretty decent crowd of people you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So, including one of Nashville's biggest stars in Theo Vaughn.
Yeah, of course. I mean, who doesn't?
Funny story, is actually from my hometown of Mandeville, Louisiana.
That's
Shout
right.
out there.
That's
Same
right.
high school. Go Skippers.
Same high school.
Same high school. Oh,
How about that?
Yeah.
So y'all had a connection right away.
Yeah.
Joe, we're going to have fun. Again, I want to tell people a little bit about what we're doing. I put a tweet out and put a message in the message board earlier today as well. We thought it was a good idea because we could have done something right after games, but hey, you're a diehard, right? I'm locked in, right after the games with the press conferences. So we're like, hey, let's wait a little bit, get something out on Sunday night, and let people develop their opinions and some of their reactions, and let the waters calm down a little bit after the games, and we'll go live. We'll take fans' comments and questions, and there will be a lot of them. This year, after certain games, maybe not this week as much as some other weeks throughout the season, but we're going to have fun with it, and we're going to talk Vanderbilt football. I do want to tell you about Bulovas Wealth Management of Raymond James, and I'm going to toss it to Joe here in a second, but obviously we can't thank Joe enough and everybody over there at Raymond James for being a part of our football coverage this season. If there's one thing we all share, it's that our lives are all unique. especially Joe's, especially mine, this time of year is really busy. Everybody's gearing up for the football season. At Raymond James, they believe that's worth celebrating because financial planning isn't just about numbers and figures. It's about creating the life that you envision. So whether you're building a future or preparing for retirement, a Raymond James financial advisor, specifically Joe Bulovas, can guide you each step of the way, all while following a plan that's uniquely yours. That's life well planned. To learn more, call financial advisor Joe right here to my right, 615-645-6742. Got to get the official logistics here. Raymond James and Associates Incorporated, member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC. Joe, those are the.
Do you need some water after that?
Honestly, I might go grab my water, but that was kind of the dictionary definition of what you do. But give people an idea, a personal idea of what you do, and not a bad place to be doing it here in Nashville.
Yeah, obviously, after I got done playing at Vandy, I wanted to do something where, one, I was working on other people's behalf and working as a team towards something bigger than myself. So that's really how I view what I get to do on a daily basis for individuals and families and businesses that we do retirement planning for. But at the end of the day, the most rewarding thing about what I get to do with my practice and my team here at Raymond James is I get to work with great people. I get to put people in a better position than when they were beforehand, and so that we can guide them to get the best chance of success now and down the road and put them in the best position possible. So at the end of the day, it's all about people. That's why I got into this space. I enjoy getting up in the morning every day and being able to go out and help people. So, and heck, to be doing it here in Nashville, and Vanderbilt was a big reason why I came back to start my practice here. And I couldn't be more thankful and more blessed to be doing what I'm doing in the city with such great people.
Yeah, and we're going to talk, kind of have a different theme every couple of weeks of things that you want to, get out there and get to our listeners and subscribers, but also, get some people your way as well, because that's honestly what we're doing this for. But also this about Vanderbilt. It's about Vanderbilt football. Obviously,
absolutely.
You were heavily impacted by Clark Lee and this program, Barton Simmons, and everybody you came in contact with. And we've talked a lot about it in the last couple of episodes you've been on. But it is special. And look, I grew up in Nashville watching Vanderbilt going to games. And obviously there were some lean years, as everybody knows.
Right.
But look, the vision was always the win over Alabama last year. It was always moving forward and being ranked in the top 25, but not just beating Alabama, right? And you go back to the James Franklin years, and before you got to Vanderbilt, I'm sure that was really your soul. Like, you thought of Vanderbilt football, you thought about what James Franklin did, and maybe in the 80s, but again, that's what people thought about Vanderbilt football. I firmly believe that what Clark Lee and Barton Simmons and everybody at Vanderbilt is doing is they're redefining what Vanderbilt football can do. And
100%.
There's been a ton of changes, but this is ultimately about Vanderbilt football. We wouldn't be doing this if people didn't care about Vanderbilt football.
Yeah.
And that's why you're a part of it.
Yeah. Well, ever since I got to Vandy, it was really evident that Coach Lee and his whole staff were really trying to revolutionize the way that building a sustaining program can be built. It wasn't going out and getting 5 stars. It wasn't at first, heavy NIL offerings or anything like that. It was finding the right character guys, finding the guys that have a chip on their shoulder to make something of themselves. And so, and now you see the evolution of the program of having a different mindset of guys in the locker room. And I've touched on my years when I was there at Vandy, and to see the evolution of Coach Lee as a coach, and the program as a whole, it's a complete group effort. So it's not one guy's making a whole difference here or making the tides really churn, right? It's a group effort of everybody buying in, and as a former player, we knew how hard it was at the time, and hardly anybody else is going to understand just how hard those times were when your back was so much against the wall. And now everybody's got Vandy's number, but that's what the whole plan was to be this dominant program that revolutionized the way of how winning could be done at a place where, frankly, very little people gave it any chance. And so now you have such great people in the locker room and in the building and support from the university that you've got, a tremendous track forward for what's possible.
I'm interested in, you mentioned those first couple of years, and specifically year 2. You've talked about that year a lot. And, it can be tough when you're not, most weeks the most talented team unless you're playing 3 or 4 of your non-conference games. And typically a Kentucky, Missouri type, but it's the SEC, right?
Everybody's darn good.
Exactly. So
make no mistake about it. Everybody's darn good.
But you talk about that year 2 team positively.
Right.
And I think that's interesting because, it was a 5-7 team, but that team was important because, they may not have made a bowl game, but that was, and people like to say year 1 for Clark was year 0, but that year 2 was really that first initial push of starting things and getting things moving in the right direction. I think of guys like a Gavin Schoenwald, yourself, Ben Bresnahan, Davion Davis, guys you're still close with.
Oh, yeah.
And, Mike Wright, what he was able to do, Ray Davis on offense. You mentioned the talent that was there, but a lot of people around the country didn't know that. And look, that was a disappointing end of the season, of course, against Tennessee. But from my perspective, that's where the program's development began in terms of a mindset and the personality starting to fit what Clark wanted a little bit. And obviously it was disappointing in year 3, but year 2, you saw a little glimpse of what could be possible.
Well, that year 2 team, for those of you guys that remember, we actually started off against Hawaii, and it was it wasn't even close. I mean, we beat him like a redhead stepchild. But we started off really hot that year. We were 4-0 going into Alabama, I believe, and then that game did not go our way by any means. And then we kind of hit a little like a big drought of stringing those wins together, and then it was just a little bit too little, too late. But you talk about early in the segment when you talked about starting out the first opening game, whether it's an SEC opponent, whether it's a top 25 opponent, whatever it looks like, it really doesn't matter because you're going to have the types of guys in the locker room that are going to treat every game the same, because Vandy's not going to creep up on anybody this year because of what they did this past season and the guys that they have on the field, offense and defense. So everybody that Vandy plays this year, Vandy's going to get their best game. So Vandy's got to play their style of football in all 3 phases very, very well, because heck, I mean, I know for a fact when, before I even got here to Vandy, we knew at Alabama, whoever we played, we were going to get their absolutely best game of the year. You're talking fakes all over the place, special teams, trickery.
Right.
Like there's going to be teams this year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it against Charleston Southern this Saturday. Yeah. Because an FCS school comes in and make some waves against a team.
Margins aren't huge.
Right. You're just going to see a lot of that this year, I think, especially your non-conference games.
Yeah. I do want to tell everybody about FanDuel a little bit. You can see at the bottom of the screen there, right under Joe's logo there, Bulovas Wealth Management. Joe,
I guess it's on my seat from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's right there. Joe's sitting on FanDuel.
I'm sitting on FanDuel.
Yeah. But some interesting lines, and this is so huge everywhere now. It's kind of crazy how large betting has become. And look, we at Vandy 24/7 are a part of them because hey, they came to us, so we're not gonna turn anything down. But some of the lines are interesting. Alabama, midway through the season, Alabama's listed as a 22.5 favorite right now over Vanderbilt. So interesting if you're a Vandy fan out there.
That's a little surprising to me.
Yeah, and that's a long way away. Who knows health wise what these teams look like? I think that's an interesting one. So if you want to sprinkle some money on Vanderbilt, head over to FanDuel and do that here right now. Also,
if you're a player, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Also,
don't get involved in that stuff.
Yeah, don't even try. Also, the 7+ wins right now is listed at plus 320 odds. So pretty good odds there as well. So head on over to FanDuel and Diego Pavia. There is I don't remember the last time Vanderbilt had a potential Heisman Trophy winner. And look, Vanderbilt did. I want to say Eric Jones, an old quarterback back in the day, was definitely in the running. Maybe Bill Wade as well. But Diego Pavia you can get for plus 15,000 as well to win the Heisman. So head on over to FanDuel and check out some of those odds, the early season look ahead lines as well. All right, Joe, I want to get to this season, and you touched on it a little bit. And look, this is Charleston Southern, and what we're going to be doing, we may touch on the week's games. That's next week's game. I can't talk right now. A little bit, but a lot of this is going to be a recap show. We are recapping Saturday's game, and then toward the end of the show, we'll probably touch a little bit on that next game. We're not going to talk a whole lot about Charleston Southern. We can talk about what we want to see from Vanderbilt. I honestly haven't looked into Charleston Southern a ton yet. We'll probably put some preview stuff out on the site a little bit later. But this team, you mentioned it, they will not sneak up on anybody. But in terms of the personalities and the leaders, you know what you're getting. Right? This is the first time in a long time that I think Vanderbilt fans really know what to expect from a team and what they're getting for the most part, right? Yeah. There's always injuries that can pop up. But I want to ask you, what are you most excited to see? Not just against Charleston Southern, but week 2, Virginia Tech, and we'll talk more about that one coming up. But what excites you most about this team?
Well, it's funny. I was about to pose that question to you, but there's a lot of things that kind of come to mind, at least to me, as far as things that excite me about this team. I'm really excited about the secondary. I think you've got some really great players in that secondary, some new faces, some old faces, getting more playing time this year. You know what you're going to get offensively. But I'm also really excited to see MK in the backfield and complement Cedric Alexander back there. I think that's going to be a great 1-2 punch. They're both really great running backs and do a phenomenal job. Slightly different running styles, but I think they'll really complement each other well. So I'm excited to see them have success. So I think there's a lot of things that you can really be excited about as a Vandy fan. Obviously, there's a lot of buzz around the season. New stadium. Heck, that the experience as a fan is going to be a lot cooler than years past. And there's a lot of great things in the works here at Vandy. So it's a great time to be a Door fan. That's for sure.
You mentioned the secondary. Last year in particular, certain games you would realize, okay, this secondary needs a little bit of work, needs some, honestly needs depth.
Heck,
right?
You look at the entire defense this year, it's stacked.
Yeah.
It is impressive to look at on paper. And then when you see them flying around, like we were at the scrimmage, I guess it was 2 weeks ago when we were both there. And I mean, those guys are flying around. Yeah. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah. They've got a lot of depth on the defensive line. They've got depth at the linebacker spot, and they have more depth at the corner spot as well. Yeah. Safety's an interesting position this year because you lose Derrick Wright and CJ Taylor, both guys that you played with. And so, they were older guys that had played a lot of football at Vanderbilt. So
they're great instinctive players.
Yeah.
Like CJ Taylor's play against Missouri, where he
oh my gosh,
just launched himself over the line.
That was unbelievable.
And Derrick was the same way. They were hell of an instinctive player, respectively. And honestly, I think you have that still in the younger guys stepping up, the new faces in the secondary. You got Jordan Matthews, CJ Hurd, Randon Fontenette. And so you got and then CJ coming in as well. So you got a lot of guys that you can be really excited about in the secondary.
Marlon Sewell, an older guy,
absolutely as
well.
I played with that cat.
No, you played with as well.
He's one of the cats that you can't help but root for. He's a phenomenal young man. Does his part as a teammate. He's waited his turn, and he's a really solid individual, man. So I'm excited to see him have success too.
And at the corner spot, what I was getting at was that.
Don't forget about Jordan Matthews too.
Jordan Matthews, at the corner spot, as well. A guy you bring in.
I'm a kicker, man. They're not the same, but the
secondary
guys,
is
the guys that are getting interceptions on defense, they're a little bit faster than the rest.
Yeah. I always hate as an announcer and as a podcaster, you say cornerback. Yeah. A lot of times people think you're saying quarterback. Yeah, so I hate saying cornerback. I'd rather say defensive back.
See, that's why you just say DB or secondary.
DB.
He's a secondary player.
Yeah. No, that's a good point because this defense,
corners and safeties, like heck, they were just so guys on the podcast know here. Safeties and corners can kind of switch positions. A decent amount throughout their career.
And even like even
and safety to linebacker at
even
times.
the star position. Yeah. So
Right.
safety linebacker, most teams now running that 4-2-5, where you've got two specific linebackers, and you've got, instead of a 3-4, you've got two outside backers that are just sort of roaming.
Yeah.
And
well, that's kind of how every defense is now in the SEC. Is they're so adaptable. So it's like a numbers game. That's the only way you can play it in certain respects, because every defense has to be adaptable and has to basically leave that quarterback on the other side with a question mark in the head of his head of what are they in?
Yeah. So interchangeable is a good word for this defense. Brandon Fontenette, I saw this last year to kick things off in that Virginia Tech game. I know you were there.
That's a hell of a player.
We knew. I think I knew he was going to do some things last year, but that Virginia Tech game was a coming out party for him to. I'm sure you remember Kyle Hamilton at Notre Dame, played under Clark Lee.
Yep.
That's the type of guy that thrives in this defense. And
he's a really edgy guy too.
Yeah.
He has a way of bringing guys along, younger guys. He's very, very, very passionate player. He doesn't play emotionally, but he plays with emotion. And there's a big difference in that.
Yeah.
And so you don't see him getting penalties, but he's going to play to the echo of the whistle.
Yep.
And for Vandy, you can't help but love having that guy on there on your team.
Yeah. And Clark, that as a defensive minded guy, he licks his chops at that. Like,
I have heard that they have had to stop practice at Vandy.
Yeah.
They have had to stop drills and let everybody just cool off the last few minutes of a period because things are getting borderline a little too competitive.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's save everybody here.
Yeah.
That's not confirmed. Not going to give away my source on that. But I've heard it's very, very competitive on the field. And so you've got a lot of passionate guys going at it. So watch out against Charleston Southern. I mean, these guys are going to be head hunting, flying around because they're hitting somebody that's not their own guy this time.
Well, fall camp's open. For not the public, but you were at a couple of practices, I think, in the scrimmage.
Oh yeah.
The first scrimmage. So that's the thing about Vanderbilt. I think they're the only SEC team that opens fall camp for the entirety of the practice, and obviously you get to talk to players and coaches. But something I noticed throughout fall camp was you mentioned the competitiveness in some of the practices, and even going back to when you were playing. Competition, but
not uncommon.
Yeah, but the physical play.
Right.
Is what stood out to me. I told Luke Wyatt this on one of the episodes last week. And look, I don't want to get fans too high or obviously too low. Our challenge is going to be making sure fans stay even keel, not too high. Because look, there's expectations. There aren't a lot of low expectations for this team. If anything, the expectation is to get back to a bowl. But the physical play on both sides of the ball is what has stood out to me. And I know, the scrimmage is the scrimmage, but I want people to be ready for that this season.
Right.
Vanderbilt being a physical football team.
They look very physical and they look fast. The positions that you need your guys flying around, they are flying around like nobody's business. And the guys that need to smoke everybody, and really, really, really attack guys. I mean, they're laying the wood. It's really fun to see. And even in practice, you're going against your own guys, but they're towing the line of going to play through the echo of the whistle, which as a Vandy guy, it's really awesome to see that kind of effort on every single play from both sides.
I want to go to the offense now.
Oh yeah, plenty to talk about there.
Yeah, not a whole lot, right? You only have Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers and Cedric Alexander and Junior Sherrill. Obviously, I think one of the better offenses Vanderbilt, obviously the best Clark Lee has put out there. Yeah. One of the best and just most unique Vanderbilt's ever put out there. I mean, I'm not as old as some of the the subscribers and viewers that like to consume a lot of our content, but I think a lot of them would even say that it's just fun. It's fun watching this offense because you never know what's going to happen, but you have trust in the guy that is running the show,
right?
And that's Diego Pavia.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you have a guy like that, you're always gonna have a dog in the fight, right? He's the type of guy to put the team on his back when he needs to, and so I've been really impressed with the way he's carried himself. From the second he got onto Vandy's campus, because he's kind of been that guy that's been doubted his whole life and just proved everybody else wrong. And now he's on the stage where he's proving people wrong on a national stage, and he did last year. And so all the attention he's been given, I applaud him for the way he's handled himself with that. He's always stayed uniquely himself, and I think that's really healthy for the team, because when you're in the locker room, if you see guys that are kind of like, not as genuine as some others, like it stands out. But Diego's through and through himself, and it resonates with the whole team. That's why everybody, like, he's such a leader.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what he did last year, and obviously the victory over the NCAA allows him to come back for this season, but not just Diego. And I get this a lot where, and he wouldn't be here without Diego. Well, yeah, obviously, but there's a lot of other pieces.
It's never one thing.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's just like in life, it's never one thing.
No, and especially in football, where you've got 11 guys on either side of the ball,
right?
And I don't even know what's the roster limit now.
Is it 105 or
105?
110?
I think it's 105. You may be right at 105.
It's 105.
But that's a lot of guys. It's never just one guy, right? Especially at Vanderbilt, it's got to be a lot of people.
Oh,
I mean, it's got to be.
It takes everybody, man.
It's got to be the OC.
Everybody.
It's got to be the quarterback coach. It's got to be the head coach.
I was really impressed with the Any Given Saturday documentary that got put out there. I don't know how many people out there have watched that, but they covered Vandy a good bit. I would say just as much as any other team.
Oh yeah, I
Maybe
saw a
than,
graph
actually.
of the percentages. I think South Carolina they had the most coverage.
Yeah, Beamer was like doing stadium runs and stuff.
Yeah, in the morning,
that.
and I think the stuff with his family and his kids and his wife that probably put them up over Vandy.
Yeah,
but that was a really cool look at Vandy.
Yeah, I skipped through a bunch of episodes. I don't have all that much time to look at it.
Vandy was in 3,
Yeah.
5, and 7. The last one, I think.
Yeah, I believe there's 3 episodes.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily chronologically. Well, in a way, it is. Like 7 is the Tennessee game,
right?
But it's not. You could mix and match and watch 5, 3, and then 7.
But the point is, like, Vandy got a ton of coverage in that.
Oh yeah,
and in years past, that never would have happened.
Yeah,
to be quite honest, I mean, we got more coverage than. I think we got more coverage than LSU in that. Like that's really cool to kind of think about. But going forward this season, like, I'm really excited with the trajectory of this program. Obviously, you've got the right people in place, but it's going to take every guy in that locker room to make the competitive decision to do things the right way and prepare the right way. Because, like I said before, Vandy's going to get everybody else's best game. They're going to get Alabama's best game. I know they've got that one circled. So just like all the other games on the schedule, not going to creep up on anybody. So I'm excited to see these guys make the mature decision to be men about this season, especially the guys coming back to really solidify themselves. Like, oh, last year was not a blip. This is us coming to play and run down your throat.
Yeah. Well, they need to run it down Charleston Southern's throat on Saturday. They were not able to do that against a non-conference team last year. And we talked about this on the podcast.
You mentioned Georgia State last year?
Yeah, Georgia State, Ball State.
Yeah.
Obviously, Virginia Tech, that was a tight game. And look, Ball State wasn't bottom of the totem pole. That wasn't a bad.
If you want an upset, you call Ball State.
Right. But Georgia State finished 3-9. And obviously that was disappointing.
Yeah. Very.
You should have gone down there.
It was a big determinant in the bowl game too.
Yeah.
Around the cusp like that.
Yeah.
Scratch a couple more. Obviously that puts you in a better position. But now that's what I'm talking about, is like guys making the mature decision to take it to the next level. Not just, toe the line, but move the standard for what Vandy football is going to offer down the road. And that comes with each week of preparation.
Well, and this is an opportunity to look, you're not going into this game saying, like, this isn't high school. Like, a lot of times, if they're scrimmaging or, they're playing somebody, they know they're going to beat pretty handily. Quarterback, you're going to play the first half, and then we're going to our backup in the third quarter, and then third string in the fourth quarter. Like, they're not going to go into it like that. But honestly, if we don't see Diego in the second half, that's best case scenario for Vandy. Because that tells you you're up 4 scores, you're up a lot, and Vanderbilt wasn't able to do that last year, and they weren't able to rest their guys. They were not, and obviously the injuries piled up a little bit, specifically on offense.
100%.
And the coaches have publicly said that they ran out of gas a little bit, and we know that. That starts with the non-conference games early in the season. It does,
you know. And one of the things that you just touched on is seeing, you know, like the second and third string guys in the second half. That's a great way to develop confidence for your players.
Yeah.
So, you know, your second string quarterback, your second string linebackers, whatever it looks like, those guys need reps. And the only way that they get comfortable in a game situation, because I'm telling you, an 18-year-old kid that gets thrown out there in their first game is going to be a little bit of a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Now, they might be playing with their tail on fire, but, you know, they need that experience to get that. Maybe it's the jitters out, or like oh man, I'm in the game. Like, let's just play fast as, you know, I'm just going to blow this guy up kind of stuff. So being able to play with emotion, but not play emotionally. And so, but that's a great way. Like even last year when your guys run out of gas, well, who's behind them? How big is the quality of play if it drops off, like from the first guy to the second guy? So those non-conference games are huge because you get guys accustomed to playing and acclimated who don't normally play. And so when they do need to go in a big situation down the stretch, they're ready to go.
Yeah. And that's a big thing we talked about on a lot of these podcasts last couple of weeks, just making sure that your guys, whether it's Diego, Eli, but the thing about this team is that last year, you know, you had probably 3 to 4 guys that, you know, I think it was specifically on offense, Diego, Cedric, Eli. Obviously, you'd like to see Junior healthy.
Yeah.
But this year, Joe, I keep every time, you know, I'm asked about this team or what this team has in terms of a depth chart, I keep naming guys off. I keep listing them at certain positions.
There's a lot more depth. I mean, they're just solid talent at every aspect of this roster. You know, one guy I haven't mentioned before that I would like to now, especially on the defensive side, that just is the heart and soul of that defense, is Langston Patterson.
Yep.
I mean, they in that linebacker room with Nick Lazinski, that is a phenomenal group of young men, and they do a tremendous job on the field. So,
and that's another interchangeable spot where you're going to be rotating guys in and out, whether it's Langston. You've got Prince Colley in there as well, Brian Longwell.
You've got
Nick Rinaldi, who you're going to see on the line a little bit well. Bryce Cowan, you're going to see on the edge as well this year.
Yeah, you know, one of the you brought up Nick Rinaldi.
Yeah.
There's like this is a kind of a Coach Lee moment here, but he
I know
apparently there's a hockey guy named Zach Rinaldi. I'm not a big hockey guy, so I didn't know this at the time. And then so Coach puts.
So you were on the team. This was the second.
Yeah,
second year.
I played with Nick. Okay, and he throws on this hockey game of Zach Rinaldi just decking people on the ice. You know, guys are getting. It looks like, you know, you got to turn the TV off, man. Don't let the kids see this. And everybody, just want to let you know that Zach Rinaldi is actually sitting back there, and he's pointing at Nick or whatever. And we're all like, all right, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good story. Nick told that about a week ago.
Yeah.
To some of the reporters.
He's one of the guys that is a true Vanderbilt guy as far as what Barton and Coach Lee were trying to accomplish. Him, Richie Hoskins.
This is like his 4th year playing football.
Man, I think he's like 32.
Yeah, I mean,
just kidding.
But he's still fresh in the game, which is crazy.
Well, yeah, no, Richie is a phenomenal.
Richie and Nick, I think. Too.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Nick, but Nick came in as a walk-on.
Yeah,
and was, you know, he had a decent frame, but this guy has taken his body to the next level. He is taking the bull by the horns and said, I've been given this opportunity. By golly, I'm gonna make the most of it.
Right.
And you can see it by the way he's a contributor on the team.
Bowl
and he
game,
has been for a while.
He really stood out in that bowl game.
Oh my gosh, the guy plays with his hair on fire. He reminds me but those are the types of guys like in a Richie Hoskins walk on, make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, just work your tail off. These are some of the guys that
foundational pieces.
It's foundational pieces, and the bread and butter for the blueprint that Coach Lee and Barton laid out.
The glue almost.
These are the types of guys that are going to keep us competitive, and they're going to make this program better. and here they are. They've created so much value for themselves and the team.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up here shortly. And again, during the season, we'll after like Charleston Southern, for example, that could be a shorter episode. Hopefully.
Yeah, we don't have too much to break down. There wasn't a game this past week.
Breaking down that last fall camp scrimmage. No, we'll probably go around an hour, especially for some of those big SEC games. Virginia Tech, that'll be a huge one. Obviously, week 2 in Lane Stadium, and then South Carolina. So we'll dive deeper, of course, into those. But we're doing a lot of reaction and recapping.
Right.
Not as much preview, because we'll have a lot of preview content throughout the week. And then I will be doing the Friday pregame show that I put out every Friday last week. And Joe will hop on for a little bit for those, talk a little bit about that week's game. But Charleston Southern, of course, don't know a ton about them, but in this game specifically, because Joe, it's game week, which is wild to say.
It's crazy to think about it. To me, it still feels like June.
It really does. Well, the weather is apparently supposed to be beautiful.
Man,
70s this week. Yeah. And so, of course, if it was an 11 a.m. kick on Saturday, I think it'd be a beautiful day. But of course, it's at night, so plenty of time to have some fun for the game, and of course, tailgate with some Vandy fans. But this game specifically, what are you looking to see from this team? Because you can say, hey, blowout. Right? Of course, everybody. You'd like to see a blowout and see Bullus. I think that's a guy you may mention, but there's a lot of guys that we could see action from.
Oh yeah.
What are you looking for this game in particular?
I'm looking for the first half really to be dominant in all phases. I will say the biggest, lack of better terms, ass rippings I've gotten from my head coaches in the time, like whether it was with Coach Saban at Alabama or Coach Lee here at Vandy. The biggest, ass chewings are when we would smoke a team but it wasn't up to the standard. It wasn't where it needed to be. Like, oh, okay, you won by 45, but heck, you had 3 guys doing the wrong assignment on a play. We threw a go ball that we came down with for a 45-yard touchdown. But so I say that to say I'm looking to see the core pieces of our team have unquestionable success and all 11 guys doing the right things on each play. And I'm not looking for, a blowout type score, but I'm looking for the team as a whole to have total control of what they're doing on offense, defense, and special teams. For the first half, I would anticipate most of the stars will be in. Then, maybe as the game goes, see what happens. But heck, there was a time where Coach Saban blew up on a reporter's like, how do you know he's going to get to play? Y'all don't remember that Jordan?
Yeah. My favorite is
but he rips his. Yeah. He was ripping the reporter about how the heck you guys don't remember the Georgia Southern game, do you? He's like, they ran the ball down our throats and we couldn't stop them.
Right.
We didn't play a 2. And we had 8 guys on the defense that were played in the NFL.
Yeah.
They were all draft picks.
Yeah.
And we couldn't stop them. So, never take a team lightly. Like I said, Charleston Southern is going to throw in the kitchen sink to make a splash.
Yeah.
It's up to Vandy to, stop that and turn it into the black and gold show for 4 quarters. And I'm excited to see not just starting 11 on each side of the ball, but their continued depth to have success and really hit the ground running for the season. Because they need to play well to set themselves up and have confidence for the next few games there.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, South Carolina. That's a lot. That's a big chunk of their season right there.
They're tough away games.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a hostile environment. That crowd's gonna be rocking. Gonna be playing Sandstorm, South Carolina. All towel waving. And
what's the Virginia Tech
Inner Sandman? Yeah. So you're gonna play in a tremendous environment.
So this is about setting yourself up. For that next game, of course. But look.
Be where your feet are.
Exactly. It's
about
about beating Charleston Southern.
Right.
But it's also about setting yourself up, like you said, for those next couple of games. And Pavia said at the media day, which is a really cool event they had on Monday, I want to say, he said, we want to be pure fireworks on offense.
Yeah.
And I think you make a good point early in the game. That first quarter is to me because they had a slow start against Ball State last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, slow game against Georgia State. That was not pretty, of course.
I guess I'm just
then
looking
Virginia
for efficiency.
Tech,
You know, like I want the core team that's going to be playing the majority of the season to have success and control over what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the other non-conference game was last year. You had Georgia State, Ball State, Virginia Tech. Am I going crazy?
No, I don't think you're going crazy. If anything,
I was thinking about this the other day. Who was the fourth non-conference? Because they're playing Utah State this year. Oh, Alcorn State. That's why we forgot about it. It was 52-0.
Well, that was the one game I didn't go to.
Okay, there you go. But that's their Charleston Southern. Because Charleston Southern is not great.
Well, I guess a really hungry coach. I did a little bit of research on them. So
I have heard about their coach.
Their coach has a way of firing up the team. He does a really nice job of rallying the troops, and he's recruited a really solid staff. So, and Charleston Southern's the type of place where a coach that's on the up and up creates his core staff.
Right.
So now they didn't have a very good season last year. I think they were 4-7 or something
like that. Yeah.
It wasn't anything spectacular. Didn't go to a bowl game, but from what I've heard, they've done a really nice job recruiting for the FCS level. And, you know, just like any other team, you have to come in with a game plan. And everybody has a game plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would anticipate Charleston Southern to throw a punch, but it's up to Vandy to, you know, swing back, step back into the fire and throw the next punch, head body, and not even look about what's on the side of their helmet or on the front of their jersey, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they need to go handle business. And so that's just the first one that they need to do.
Head body. All the assistant coaches say that all the time. I know there's
a lot of Coach Lee-isms, and they kind of stick with you.
Yeah.
And that's one that I absolutely love. There's like one step back into the fire. Absolutely love that. That's kind of been my mantra for my whole playing career, and it's still here, you know, and what I'm doing now from a wealth management perspective. But he has a way of gathering young men's attention, and it's because he's uniquely himself. You know, everything he's saying is true to his core, and you got me and you got everybody who played for him willing to run through a brick wall over and over again for a guy like that. So I think there's a lot of excitement, a lot of great things in this Vanderbilt season.
I think we got some fans ready to run through a brick wall right now.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
It's game week here at Vandy 24/7 Star V Sundays. Here with Joe Bulovas, former Vanderbilt kicker. We're gonna get an edited logo. We'll get that out there. I'll clean it up a little bit, and I'll throw that into the thumbnail. But we wanted to get something out here before the season. Get some fans in here. And we want the comment section to be, obviously there's nothing to react to, so we're previewing, but
we want feedback. We want all your questions, anything that's on top of mind. Happy to have a discussion on that. And
I did have one on that note, and we're gonna wrap up here shortly.
Just want to be interactive. This is about the Vanderbilt Commodores and their fans, so we want this to be something that you guys enjoy.
And Joe's got a unique perspective, being a former kicker, of course, played under Nick Saban in Alabama, 2 national titles.
Yeah.
So
1-2, I was there.
No subtle flex there from Joe, but he kicked at Vanderbilt. And look, Vanderbilt's special teams. I've joked about this before that Vanderbilt is under Clark Lee like a special teams factory, but they really are.
Yeah.
I mean, you started it. Obviously, the punters. Who was the punter that first couple of years? I know Hayball was.
So I had Harrison Smith.
That's right.
Subtle specialist thing. He was the best holder I've ever had. He was an absolute wizard.
And I mean, that's a kicker's best friend right there.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. It didn't matter, where the snap was. I never knew where a snap was because he was so good.
Yeah. So he was both years.
He was there my first year, not my second.
Okay.
Hayball was
there that year too. Okay. Yeah. So Hayball obviously in the NFL now. I want to say still with the Saints.
I think he's between teams right now.
Between teams. Okay.
Yeah.
He was picked up originally. By the Saints. Obviously this year with Nick Haberer, another Australian.
Yeah.
Last year he had Jesse Mirko come over from Ohio State. But great kickers as well. And look, Brock Taylor, he said his go line. And that's a term. He said, my go. I think one of the reporters asked him, what's your go line this year? And I had never heard go line. And I would assume that's okay, let's go. We're
that means,
kicking
like,
it.
range.
Yeah. So
But I
he
haven't
said
heard that too
62.
much. Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds good.
Yeah, no, man, that's
sounds really good.
no, I
Because
know.
last year I think he was saying it was 54, 55, somewhere
Right.
around there.
Yeah, they're going to give him a little bit more leeway this year, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Coach Lee's very obviously being the defensive guy. He's a little bit more conservative on that. So like, he's not going to. Typically, he wouldn't send out a guy to try and boot one from that unless the situation arose.
Right.
Because hell, the other team essentially gets the ball
Right.
on the 50.
Right.
So you always think about field position, but he's got a hell of a leg, and he does a really nice job of not letting things bother him. You know, he had like an up and down season for a little bit last year, and then he really rebounded well. And so that's when you really find out, you know, what kind of specialist do you have, you know, at your punting position, your kicking position, are they able to come out swinging again and not think twice? So
jump back into the fire.
That's exactly right. You got to step back into the fire, especially as a specialist, quarterback, anything that's you know, one shot, one kill type of mentality. But I've been really impressed with him and how he's carried himself and through the ups and downs and the successes that he's had. So to have a guy like him with that range is very important. Even though you've got an offense that really clicks on all cylinders,
Right.
It's great to know that, like, hey, if we don't get past you know, if we barely get past the 50, okay, we might be able
We've got this option.
We might be able to get 3 out of this still, even though some other teams may not. So it's certainly a weapon. And the punting position with Nick Harper, he's phenomenal. He's done a really nice job in camp from what I've seen. He did a really nice job when he was at Washington State. Yeah. And I'm going to sing praises on the long snapper a little bit. You got to give your long snapper some love. They never get talked about.
Yeah.
But Durham came in, and he's done a really nice job with
from Washington State.
From Washington State again, and he's done a really nice job. So, you know, that's probably the only, hopefully, honestly, I hope that's the only time his name gets brought up,
because that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, because you know, if a snapper's name gets brought up, chances are he didn't throw a strike back there. Let's just say that. And then, but yeah, no, he's done a really nice job, and that whole room is really encouraging and fun to watch.
That's the perspective that Joe gives us. So, you know, the kicking and punting and special teams questions, I like those because it's so interesting.
It's so nerdy, man.
No, but it's so perfect for Vandy. It really is. And so I love that part of it. But yeah, it's questions like those that Joe, you know, the go line and, you know, wind, like if there's dead wind, obviously that helps a kicker, but you know, if that wind's coming at you, you're probably not attempting a 61 yarder on the road.
No. And the new stadium's going to be interesting to see how that wind affects, or the wind gets affected by the outlay of the stadium. But man, I'm excited to see, you know, Vanderbilt Stadium rock and rolling because
South End Zone will be done.
Yeah, it looks really phenomenal as a fan. There's a lot to be excited about for game day. They brought back the Star Walk. Through
Vandyville.
One. Through Vandyville. I think they might have even extended it a little bit.
Yeah, I think
they might be going out the back practice field, grass field.
I think you're right.
That's a narrow gate, man.
Yeah,
that's
a little bit of a walk for the guys too.
It is a little bit of a walk. They're gonna have to have some Gatorade on the way in. But no, there's a lot to be excited about. And I know my mom and dad are coming this weekend, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, you know, whenever you have family in town, you get to be around them and to snagged a couple tickets for them the other night before they sold out. So we'll make it a family event, you know, from my side of things. But I'm excited to see those guys take the field.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned your parents and yeah, we want this to be a family affair. I'm going to put out some tailgate info on the board. We'll kind of square things away there. I know you do a little bit of an alumni tailgate with some of your former teammates, and Luke Wyatt was mentioning how he would help get some people over there. So we'll throw some details on that because with the night kickoff, plenty of time. Obviously, there's a lot of other really good games.
There's a lot of great games.
Yeah, so you know you got your TV out. It's a good time. I think that night game is LSU Clemson. So
is it really?
I think it is, yeah. Bama, Florida State at 2:30.
Then they've got Texas and Ohio
State. Yep.
Is that 11 o'clock? Yeah. I mean, you talk about
that's a killer match.
Kickoff right there. Golly.
Yeah. It's a good week one. I'm glad selfishly Vandy's not playing on week 0. And you played in 2 week 0s.
I did.
Or was it?
I think it was just one. It was Hawaii.
Hawaii at home.
No.
Or was that at Hawaii was the one?
That was my last year at Vandy, and that was really cool. I mean, like I said, it always feels great to go beat someone's
Yeah.
tail.
I remember one specific play. Schoenwald blocked a guy out of bounds.
Oh yeah.
And then I think Shepard just clocked a guy on Mike Wright's.
Yeah.
What was it? 80-yard run.
Yeah.
I remember that play specifically. That kind of set the tone for that game.
It was somewhat of a close game. And then, I mean, Gavin Schoenwald's up. He's got a good way of rallying the troops, and he gets up on the athletic training table, and this literally, it's a makeshift stadium, right?
Mhm.
Aloha Stadium,
Yeah,
condemned,
at the time, yeah.
and we're playing at a glorified track field, track stadium with some portable stands all around. Really cool atmosphere, though. Really cool atmosphere. I mean, you saw all different types of seasons. You saw mist. You saw rain, scorching hot. It was
because
really
Hawaii time that kicked off at what? Like 5? Okay.
So it was still, it was a weird kickoff. But he gets, as soon as we win, he gets up on top of the training table and he's rallying.
I remember seeing those pictures.
Yeah, he's we run the island. I was like, no, Gavin, that's a pretty cool thing to say. That'll stick with my mind for a long time.
Yeah. No, Gavin's one of the guys that, of course, he's in town and he'll be over at the tailgate.
He's helping out Vandy a lot with his new company. So,
GPS Data Viz.
If you know anything about me, kind of a big gym rat, so I always pick his brain a little bit on all that. He's data stuff behind the strength staff and strength programs they've got. So.
Wealth of knowledge. Gavin Schoenwald.
It's a really, really, really neat thing. So you got a lot of Vanderbilt alumni doing really cool things.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're fired up for the season. Again, these will typically be recaps, reaction, talking about the previous night or day's game. Next week, we'll be talking about the Charleston Southern game on Saturday. And next week, we'll be talking about Virginia Tech, whatever happens in Lane Stadium. And then, of course, each week we'll touch a little bit on that next game as well toward the end of the episode. But
also let us know if there's anything you guys like to hear out there.
Yeah,
and have us kind of have a discussion about. I'd be more than happy to.
Absolutely,
and excited to.
Yeah, and we may throughout the season get somebody else in here as a third guy. Bring them in here. Joe's got some really good connections, so. We may do some of that, but we're open to ideas. Again, we want your comments and questions all throughout the show. I think there's going to be some fun shows.
Oh yeah,
some good times had, and I'm fired up, Joe. This is going to be fun. Any parting thoughts about what you got going on with your company? What you're excited about? Of course, you guys don't. I guess in theory have. You have a busy time of the year, but it does stay fairly consistent. Lucky you. Right now, I'm in the foxhole right now, jumping back into the fire. But just tell everybody again what you got going on and with Bulovas Wealth Management.
Yeah, so I'm running my own shop, running my own team over at Raymond James with Bullus Wealth Management of Raymond James. And so what we do essentially is comprehensive financial planning, and that's everything from investments to risk management to tax planning, protecting your family through insurance, you name it. That's what we do. We want to put our clients in the best position possible now and down the road. And we have some of the best management strategies in the world to accomplish just that. So being able to work with great people and put them in a better position down the road as well as immediately is really something that I find a lot of fulfillment with. So would love to have a chat with anybody that, may be in that ballpark of, maybe I need to take another look at things, but always happy to help out in any way. But at the end of the day, it's all about working with great people and putting them in the best position possible.
And you're putting this podcast and this site in a lot better position, a great position heading into the season. So I can't thank you enough, Joe, for that. But I want to tell everybody, give this podcast a review. That helps us get noticed. Give us a 5-star rating. Throw that on there as well. And if you haven't subscribed yet, Joe's subscribed. He's on the board. He's getting some info out there and following along as well. So that's a way to connect with Joe as well. So go subscribe to Vandy247.com and fire away your comments and questions, like I said, in some of these upcoming episodes. But yeah, looking forward to everything, Joe, and it's going to be fun, man.
Oh yeah. I can't tell you how excited I am for this season, man. It's going to be a great one.
It all gets started this Saturday, Charleston Southern, 6:00. We will be reacting to it the next Sunday at 6:00. That'll be the locked in time. So at 6:00, Joe and I will be going live again, taking your comments and questions, and I'll get that logo cleaned up and get everything rolling. But that's Joe Bulovas. I'm Billy Derrick. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you again soon with more episodes. Next week's episode of Star V Sundays.
Anchor down.